Hi, I'm Susie and I'm an ambassador for MQ Mental Health. We're here today going around London asking people for their top tips on how to stay happy and a couple of other mental health questions. Come with us. So what do you guys do to feel healthy, feel happy, mentally? What makes you go put a smile on your face, I guess?
Hanging out with friends.
Yeah, I was going to say seeing these two.
Yeah.
Seeing these guys, definitely.
We made sure that we meet up every Wednesday, and that just really just brightens up the whole week.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
It's just something to look forward to, and then something to think about afterwards.
Yeah. Leaves us thinking. Exactly. Because we used to live together, like we were saying. But now that we don't, it's still good to be able to see each other frequently. Because otherwise you can kind of drift from your friends.
Yeah. And it feels a bit like a sense of community, I guess, by spending those time together. That's so nice. And also being in nature, I guess, it's a lovely place.
Definitely,
Is there anything, top tips, or what makes you feel happy?
Family, I suppose.
Okay.
And sort of grandchildren.
Have you got any of those?
We have 9.
Whoa.
We have 4 in Bath, where my daughter lives, and we have 5 back home in Belfast.
Oh, so big family is important to you?
Well, families, not having a big family, but family connections.
Yeah.
That's where I think real wealth sort of resides, in personal relationships and not in material things. A man who's only, let's say, money, I think is a very, very poor man, isn't he,
Yeah, there's so many other different things.
Oh, there's so
as
much
well.
better things or richer things,
What are the other things that make you feel happy or sane, or, I don't know?
Might sound slightly strange if
so
I
strange.
start feeling, I used to get into really bad head spirals, by which I mean I would not leave my bed for ages, or I would really struggle to do anything, and I would assume it's because there was a big major problem or something I had to fix. I had to convince myself to do my hobbies. I found that actually a lot of it was because I was a perfectionist, so I'd assume if I couldn't do something perfectly, I shouldn't do it at all. And actually doing it a little bit helped. So the things that would make me feel happy, like my hobbies, just started doing a tiny, tiny bit, and it got much easier.
Yeah. That's amazing. You've basically analysed something that so many people are scared of, which is this big dream, and we all have big dreams, and I think it can become a bit overwhelming when it's something that you used to be very close to and then you shut it off for a bit. It's a bit like welcoming a friend that you haven't spoken to for a while, and it is one tiny step at a time and living in the present to make one move every day.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And now do you feel like you practice those hobbies a bit more?
I try to do a little bit every day, even if it's, I like to draw a lot, even if it's a quick sketch, or if I don't feel up to doing an entire drawing, I will trace something just so I'm doing something creative, because it's a way of being productive that I enjoy, and it makes me feel better.
What kind of things make you guys really happy?
Just music. All my life, that's all it's been. It's just doing music has always made me happy. And just expressing myself, really. And just nature. That's why we're in Heath, because it's beautiful. It's just trees just make me extremely happy.
Yeah. Honestly, you just start hugging them and you're sorted.
That's true, yeah.
And what about you? Is there anything that's your go-to for a good day?
Literally, I was about to say the same thing. Being here, I moved here maybe about a year ago now, and this was the first place I literally came to all the time, just to walk and not even look at my phone or anything, and just take a book and read and just disassociate. And this is the perfect place to do it too, because it's just
Do you feel for young people that's something that is known enough to just kind of get outside and have a bit of time? Because most of us go for walks but with an AirPod in or something.
I feel it is, but there's not that many big green spaces like this around London. If you live around Hampstead Heath, then it's you can just come to it and feel you're in the middle of nowhere. But
there's a word in Japanese, it's a word that doesn't translate into English, and it's Shinrin-yoku, and the closest translation is nature bath, and it's a form of healing and meditative practice in, I think it's in Japan. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, apparently.
That's really good to know.
Yeah.
And did you guys know that it's World Mental Health Day coming up on the 10th?
No, not until you told me.
Not until you told me.
Now we know, yeah.
Do you feel mental health information is accessible to you if you want it?
I think sometimes the information's accessible.
Okay.
But then what happens after that point in accessing information in terms of actually getting help? I think it's difficult for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So we're medical students actually. So
Okay, great.
Yeah. Yes. So you pick good victims.
Yeah. Do you think if there was like more information, like almost like a platform or like a community type thing, or like even what you were saying, you know, if you're having that and you see something that's like, don't worry about it, if you're feeling like this, it's not a big issue, it's very common, here's a couple of suggestions of a few small steps I might take. Do you think that would have been helpful?
I definitely think so, especially a lot of the things you find online tend to be very official from healthcare professionals, which is wonderful and good to have access to, but I think it also helps hearing from other people going like, no, I absolutely know what you're talking about, this is what helped me.
Yeah. And actually what you just said I think is really interesting, because there's this whole, the government has stripped quite a lot of money from mental health funding and it's all going into physical health, and obviously the two are completely intertwined anyway. But often like mental health I think feels like such a weighted topic, and it has to be like, if I need to talk about my mental health I have to either have depression or whatever, it has to be quite, you know, like a weighted thing. Whereas like we can scratch our finger and that can, or we can kind of like break our whole body, but we're allowed to say, ow, I scratched my finger. And I guess it's helping facilitate an environment a bit more that's like, oh, how do you feel today? Oh, a bit crap right now, to be honest. I might feel better this afternoon. Do you feel that there is enough support? Maybe is it a numbers case? Are there not enough people there to like be able to help? Trained counsellors, therapists?
I don't think that it's that there isn't enough people working. I think that the NHS right now is just stretched so thin.
Yeah.
And no money is put into mental health, really.
No,
like
not at all.
proportionally compared to other things. When now, especially post-COVID, lots of people are going to suffer with mental health issues. So the funding's not there. Most doctors are leaving the NHS and leaving the country actually to work elsewhere, so that's not helping the situation. And then on top of that, it's not taken seriously, so people don't have access to the resources in the first place.
And I suppose maybe that initial kind of environment then puts people off from asking in the first place anyway. God, that's so interesting. I know, it's insane how much the government has kind of, especially when the two, I don't know if you guys have found this, but if any of you have ever been physically injured before, how much it impacts your mental health, and the other way around as well. Do you guys feel like there's enough kind of digestible access to mental health resources or understanding, or have you like known friends to struggle who have found it hard to get support?
I feel like there could be, but people just don't have confidence to say that they're struggling.
Yeah.
And I think that there needs to be some sort of like new direction, some sort of like more relatable way that it can be communicated to people, to make, you know, young people know that it's okay, that everybody else is really actually all feeling the same way. I don't think everyone says that, you know, like all those like, I don't know, like common phrases where it's like, you know, I feel like this or I feel like that, but you know, it's actually like knowing like, yeah, we actually all do feel the same, and it's like okay to talk about everything all the time and reach out, but just people don't have confidence to do that, I think, sometimes. I don't know.
As a man,
Yeah.
I've always personally felt very, like even from school, I felt very confused by like my placement in the world. I didn't feel like a very like manly man. I was never into like football or like, you know, just generally things that are sort of like the atypical sort of like male thing.
Yeah.
I've always been like quite soft and sort of like, I like to feel like emotionally vulnerable and safe. And I think that's like something that I've never felt comfortable with, because I never saw it in other people other than my dad. And so like I always thought like, oh, I can't be like this. But as I've got older, sort of coming to realise that like it's fine. You can be like,
And people strive for that.
I've been interviewing men on masculinity recently, and it's fascinating to hear like, you know, who they come up with, and James Bond. And one guy said his dad, and because he was like emotionally intelligent and really calm and relaxed, and I suppose it's facilitating a bit more of this balanced environment where we're all going to have like ups and downs and bits of this and bits of that, to help people feel a bit more comfortable. Vulnerability in men, it's a hard one. Like, is there anything that you really would like to see kind of, I don't know, from maybe your generation or the government do a bit better or a bit more of?
I mean, we talked about this like a little bit in terms of some of the teaching that we get. But this idea that the mind and body are separate is like it's a really new idea, like post-Descartes, this idea that the mind affects the body and the body affects the mind, implies that the mind is not part of the body.
Yeah.
Which is not true. Like, the brain is just the same as any other organ, and they all affect each other. So physical health and mental health are not two separate things at all. They're the same. So I would like, going forward, for more people to kind of think about it that way, because then I think it would be taken more seriously.
Yeah, that's a really lovely answer. So, like, what are your favourite, what makes you happy?
Oh, this, let me show you.
Now it's happening.
So literally, I plastered walls for 15 years of my life. And then I thought, I had this guitar for 15 years waiting there. I'm just a hummingbird, singing in the world of free. I'm just a hummingbird, busier than a bee. And then my friend said I was absurd, neglecting the girl on the left of me. And I'm in Hampstead Heath, in Wembley, talking about beef. But I want to talk about the children, how to not show the grief, how to see the nature and see the falling leaves. And this right girl with the blonde of me, this man that looks in front of me, is a canon type of style.
Thank you very much.
That sort of stuff like that. But anyway, I've done that sort of stuff.
That's perfect. Thank you so much.
No worries,
Thanks,
I think I'm
guys.
done.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's nice.